Tides refer to the regular rise and fall of the ocean's water. It is common for the water along the coast to rise slowly and then fall back slowly. A high tide occurs when the water reaches its highest level, covering much of the shoreline. It is at low tide when the water falls to its lowest level. The moon exerts a greater gravitational pull on the Earth than the sun, although they both exert gravitational forces on the planet. The main reason is that the moon is much closer to the Earth than the sun. All of the Earth is subjected to tidal forces exerted by the moon. As Earth's land surfaces are less flexible, this has little effect on them. Although land surfaces move, they do not move by more than 55 centimeters a day. Terrestrial tides are the result of these movements. There is no doubt that the moon's tidal force has a much greater impact on the surface of the ocean than on the surface of the land. Due to its liquid nature, water can respond more dramatically to gravity. The moon exerts a stronger tidal force on the side of the Earth that faces the moon. In the opposite direction of the Earth, it is weakest. Due to these differences in gravitational force, the ocean bulges outward simultaneously in two places. In ocean waters, these bulges are known as high tides. Low tides occur between these high tides. Ebb tide refers to the flow of water from high tide to low tide. The periodicity of tides can be analyzed by harmonic analysis as long as it depends on the amplitude, size, and phase of the moon and the sun's gravity. The first scientific method by William Thomson, Lord Kelvin, was proposed in 1867. A tide schedule can be determined by measuring the range and determining the phase of the moon along with its sum. Due to this, it includes a variety of components that are categorized according to their period. Astronomy has identified hundreds of periodic motions of the Earth, Sun, and Moon. In a set of harmonic constants, each motion or constituent describes the effect of the cyclical motion of the Earth, Sun, and Moon on tides. 37 constituents normally have the greatest effect on tides and are used to predict tidal conditions. They can be categorized into four categories: semi-diurnal, diurnal, long period, and short period. The period for the semi-diurnal is roughly 12 hours. For example, the principal lunar semi-diurnal or M2 and the principal solar semi-diurnal or S2. The diurnal components are about 24 hours. For example, the lunar diurnal or K1. The long period component is roughly 13 days to 1 year, such as lunar monthly and solar semi-annual. The short period is approximately 3 to 8 hours, such shallow water over tides of principal lunar. Does the Adriatic Sea have a high or low tide? What do you think? The Mediterranean Sea's tides are lower than those in the North Atlantic Ocean. The highest tide is found in two places in the Mediterranean Sea. The highest tide occurs in the Gulf of Garbes, off the coast of Tunisia, and the second place is in the northern Adriatic Sea. There is a maximum tide amplitude of approximately 51 centimeters in the Gulf of Garbes, which is for the M2 component. Although tidal elevations have been measured along the Adriatic since the Middle Ages, continuous monitoring was not possible until the advent of modern instruments. Adriatic tide gauges were installed quite early along the shoreline, although most were not continuously operational, except for those at Trieste, since 1899, and Venice, since 1871. The Adriatic tides were first studied in the 16th century. In the northern Adriatic Sea, between Venice and Trieste, the amplitude maxima occur on the northern coastline. The Adriatic Sea is dominated by semi-diurnal M2 and diurnal K1 tides. The maximum amplitudes for M2 and S2 in Trieste are 26.6 centimeters and 16 centimeters, respectively. It is estimated that the amplitude K1 in Porto Piave Vecchia is 20.1 centimeters. Adriatic Sea tidal currents are relatively slow. Tidal currents rarely exceed 6 centimeters per second in magnitude. There are two types of oscillations that make up tides. Co-oscillating tides are caused by the exchange of water with adjacent waters. Independent tides are generated directly by the tide-generating forces in the basin. In the Adriatic Sea, Both factors contribute to the formation of tides. Consequently, there is the greatest tidal effect in the northern part of the Adriatic Sea, and its M2 component is the most significant.